numbered over time. OT, baby. So a lot of feedback on my Twitter feed after I was calling myself Liz Carlisle. You know, like Loretta Lynch, the former AG. She sent out her emails with a little alias. And it was based on her grandmother. There's a gift certificate apparently floating around online, which, wow, okay, I guess we needed the proof of that. My point was, and you said it, Jessica, there were so many emails going back and forth with the AG's office on the topic of that meeting and investigation, and Bill Clinton getting together with the AG while his wife was running for president and under investigation, that they needed a pseudonym, an alias.
She had it before
to handle the topics of what was going on.
It turned into, because of the good work, frankly, of the media, it turned into an enormous deal that I believe was the beginning of the end for Hillary Clinton, right? That's what set
the meeting on the tarmac?
The meeting on the tarmac. Because Loretta Lynch then had to say,
what did she
myself from this. I gave it over to James Comey, right? We know what happened when James Comey came out there and non-indicted her, right?
And by the way, she never did recuse herself.
Well, no, she did remove herself from that investigation.
No, those are two different words.
Sorry, she was not involved in it.
She didn't actually recuse herself.
She did step back, but she didn't recuse herself.
But that's right. She wasn't involved in it anymore. She said James Comey is handling this.
Can I ask you a question? How common is it for government officials to use aliases in emails?
Well, I think the big question is how many different ones did she have, and was she doing it for different purposes?
Is it common for government? Is it common for government officials to use aliases?
Look, I can understand the high-profile people having a name that you wouldn't just automatically guess. But the question is going to become: is there Loretta.Lynch, at whatever the address is, and she was doing some on this and some on that? And how did she respond to congressional inquiries?
So here's the question. If the media, if a reporter has a Freedom of Information Act request and they want those documents, right? But they're using aliases, isn't that an end run around FOIA?
It's for the person. So if I sent a subpoena or a Freedom of Information Act or just a congressional request, it's to the person, whatever address that is. I mean,
so you should be getting the alias.
Yeah, you said it was still a government address.
Absolutely, no one's disputing that. And from my understanding, it actually is quite common for representatives and especially cabinet secretaries, et cetera, to have alias emails and even private emails. I mean, we learned all about this during the Hillary Clinton debacle, that people are using Gmail. And she was using official DOJ email. I'm not saying anything good about this.
We did have this problem before, because in Fast and Furious with Eric Holder, they're still in court. It's almost 8 years later. We're still in court. We still don't have all the documents from Fast and Furious, in large part because Eric Holder went to the mat. It's the first time in the history of the United States of America that an attorney general was held in contempt of Congress. And in part, it was the inability of them to produce the documents.
And Congressman, to your point, I mean, this is what gets the viewer and the voter out there so enraged. This, they feel like, is, to use the president's term, DC swamp behavior, that they're unaccountable to the American people who pay their salaries, right? When they act like laws unto themselves. And that, the D.C. bubble is disconnected from the rest of America, right? You've heard that from your voters, right?
One of the things I like to ask government officials when they came before us, I'd say, who do you work for? And then they would say something like, oh, I work for this department or this agency. Oh, who pays you? Oh, well, it's the government. No, you work for the American people, you're paid by the American people, and you should be responsive to the American people. That's what makes the United States of America so different than the rest of the world. We do challenge truth to power, and you're supposed to provide these documents because the American people paid for them to be developed. And that's the fundamental question, and yet to be defined, on Loretta Lynch. Was she hiding something? Was there duplicity? Did she have something that was non-responsive?
Well, there's a whole feel of the Obama administration that, we are going to talk down America, but we're going to do these underhanded, behind-the-scenes kind of things with spreading intelligence around to 17
agencies. And remember,
agencies,
the first time...
using aliases and the like.
And the problem in this case, the one thing where there's a real problem is there's a legitimate Freedom of Information Act request, and the response, the official response from the Department of Justice was, there are no responsive documents. And only until you have somebody with deep pockets who can go to court do you find that there are hundreds of emails on this very topic of which she said nothing happened.
She used an alias, Elizabeth Carlisle, on the email that said, this is my talking points to deal with my meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac. Elizabeth Carlisle was used in that email about the talking points.
You remember the Go-Go's, don't you?
I do. I remember the Go-Go's.
People ask me why I laugh every time I hear that pseudonym, and it's because that's what I think of. But I do know it's based off of Loretta Lynch's grandmother. Okay, let's move on. The lady was great.
A lot of people are talking about the...
They like you, they call you the lady.
A lot of people are talking about the
Peggy Adams Newport. Yeah, they call you the
That's
lady.
funny.
That means all of you except me. That's what that really means.
I love that segment on negotiating your grade.
Yeah,
because
everybody's
we were
talking
joking.
You want to talk about that?
We were joking at the break. Would you ever be able to negotiate your grade with a Catholic nun? I mean, I was taught by there's no way I'm going to go up to Sister John Mary and say, yeah, I deserve an A. No way.
What I said about that, and to me, the critical point out of all the talk about what that professor at the University of Georgia wanted to do with these business courses, show me what grade you think you ought to get, and I'll email you back and tell you that's okay. And if you don't like your group, then we can take you out of a group and you can work alone. The biggest problem is that group part. Because if you don't have the intestinal fortitude, because you didn't practice it as a youngster, to negotiate a better grade eye to eye with that nun that you mentioned, if you don't have the ability to resolve conflict with difficult people that may be in your classes or at work,
I still haven't learned how to do that.
Yes.
I didn't even know you could do it.
It speaks to the issue of whether or not you can rise. So I don't know where else you're going to practice that.
It also doesn't encourage, which is a key tenet of liberalism, diversity, right? And dealing with people with diverse points of view or diverse backgrounds, because you're not going to get along with people, right, who are coming from a totally different perspective, and you're just going to go and say,
no, because you can get out of the group.
I can't do it, right? This group doesn't work for me.
Oh, and then I guess we're more practiced at saying I can't.
I did have a problem with group projects. I did not like them because I did kind of feel like, I think I heard Shannon Bream say this earlier. Like, I loved math. And whenever there was like a group project, especially like geometry or something like that, it's just like, just let me do it, okay?
By myself.
Well, that's the
I don't want
by
Just
myself.
give me the baton and I'll run 100 miles up the
Having
road.
been on a group show with you for 3 years, I'm scared.
Let me do it.
algebra, all those kind of things. I was like, well, because
Oh
then
my
your
God,
grade's
that's so
dependent
funny.
on somebody else dropping the ball, not getting
Oh, yeah.
something
Yeah.
done. And then I always kind of end up doing their stuff. You know what I'm talking about,
Why
right?
did you like geometry?
I liked math, all math. I just kept taking calculus as far as I could go.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I still want to know what your alias was. I'm convinced
grade
you had
did
an
you get?
alias.
I'm changing the subject.
I always got A's.
Saw that. It was really
Math, I always got A's. The worst grade I ever got in all of my schooling, high school, college, was Latin. My dad pushed me to take a Latin course, and it was such a pain.
Props to Pops.
It
I'm
was
glad he
very
did that.
difficult. It to this day, it's been useful, but it was not good for my
It's
GPA.
so good for your SATs, and
So annoying.
you know the root of everything.
To answer your question, I don't really have an alias, but when I'm around,
the Riddler.
No, when I'm
No, I'm
around
kidding.
Trey Gowdy, he's usually teasing me about how fat I am. That's what he keeps.
What?
Oh yeah, all
What
the
does he
time.
call you?
He would introduce me like this. He said, "Yeah, we're here with Jason Chaffetz, and gosh, he got on that Jenny Craig, but fortunately he defeated it. He beat it back."
Wow,
Trey Gowdy is not bigger than a minute. He's just not bigger.
I don't think of you as
I'm
like.
glad that he's
I don't
not
think
here. He sent me this one. It says,
You did
Oh my
Jenny
God, you
Craig?
have it on your phone.
well, he just sent it to me today.
Wait a minute.
Was
you
he
did-
I
watching
sent
the
him a
show?
picture actually with you in the picture. We were doing some stuff. I was on Mornings with Maria, and in part he says, his response back to me is, "Why did you stop working out, or is it just the lighting?"
Wow. I don't know. Can we talk about Trey Gowdy's hair?
I think I like Trey Gowdy.
he's got a new hairstyle every day.
If you promise
Which
me,
is impressive, by the
Promise
way.
me we will, at some point, you'll have me on the show and we'll do a segment
About Trey
on
Gowdy's
Gowdy
hair?
There's actually a website about Trey
Wait a minute.
Gowdy's hair, but
You dropped
we
a
can put up
bombshell.
the pictures.
You were on Jenny Craig?
Oh, see, that's the point. I wasn't. That's
All
the
right.
problem with the way Gowdy puts it. He
Lucky
says,
and
"Oh,
Mitzi
defeated
have
it."
a message for you, and you can see it right here on the live chat.
Yeah.
How many people? Ooh, we got thousands of people on. Congressman Jason Chaffetz is our favorite guest. Please
Well,
give
thank
him
you.
our very best.
Yeah, they do
Thank
like
you
you.
very
We
much.
hope you
Thanks.
invite this gentleman again soon. God bless. Now
Well,
look at that.
you've
They
gotta
didn't even
make sure-
mention your weight.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Somebody, Patrice, thank you for weighing in. Latin was your worst subject, too. And I already had a good vocabulary for the SATs, so it was useless. Well, I don't agree with it. It was useless. I think it was extremely important. Thank you for that sentiment. You took a lot of Latin, didn't you? We
No.
discussed this before.
No, I was not.
What language did you discuss?
French. And don't even
French?
ask.
Oh, that's right.
All right.
I remember.
Au revoir.
Thank you, Congressman, for
revoir.
joining
Au
us.
revoir, mon chéri. Thank you, Congressman, for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.